All right, welcome back, kings and queens, y'all. Today we're talking Shedeur Sanders. Woo! Shedeur has lit up the entire NFL, the National Football League. He's lit up social media. He's lit up the NFL draft. Listen, we gonna talk about it, and there's just so many different opinions, right? That I can't land on one side or the other. But let me ask y'all something. What are your thoughts on this whole Shedeur thing? What are your thoughts regarding Shedeur? Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, the NFL. There's just so many different angles we can look or we can kind of peel apart and talk about this thing. And the reason why I said I don't know about you, but for me, I can't land on either side because there's so many different points. Everybody makes good points, right? And I said it before and I'll say it again. Shador, has Dion done too much? Is this more about Dion and less about Shador? Is this more about the NFL and less about the Sanders? Or has everybody played a part in this saga? I truly, truly believe that Shador is a risk from an NFL perspective. And I've said it before, they don't want or they did not want what comes along with Shador. Not the Shador, the player, but the celebrity, the audacity, the arrogance, they call it. And we're going to talk about it. Let's go. For those of you who are just tuned in or if you're new to the channel, welcome to the palace. I am Queen Sheba. I cover a variety of hot topics specific to reality television, but most importantly, I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience.
Subscribe now.
Well, y'all gonna start listening to Queen Sheba. It's been released. It's being said that I told y'all there's a meeting before the meeting and there's a meeting after the meeting. I'll be trying to tell y'all that there's a lot of backroom conversations that go on regarding a lot of things. And if you don't know, now you know. If you don't know, now you know. This is way bigger than what you think. And I do believe that they are going to humble the fuck out of Shedeur Sanders. I think he's gotten his foot in the door. And that's probably as far as they're going to allow him to go for a number of reasons. Shedeur, I told you, say less. Say less. And a lot of you said, well, why does he have to say less? The white boys do it. Listen, I wouldn't give a damn if they jumped off a bridge. They have something that he wants. He wants in. And until you own your own National Football League, you have to understand the beast that you're up against. You, your daddy, the whole Sanders legacy is not bigger than the NFL. Chad Ochocinco said it best. They are not. They're going to remind you that you are not bigger than the program. You are not bigger than the system. And what we saw in that NFL draft is a perfect example. That is a strong message. If you don't get it, that's on you. Should he have to come down in order to be accepted? Not necessarily. And a lot of people have started to compare what has happened with Shedeur versus Eli Manning. No, Eli. Am I right? Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Yeah, I was right. Eli Manning. I want to make sure. It's not, y'all. Let me tell you something. Ooh, I wish people would really understand the game. I say this a lot. If you're going to stay, you better play. If you're going to stay in those systems, then you got to play the game. You can't complain about the rules, and it's just the rules. That's just how it goes. It's not that he can't do it, y'all. It's how you do it. And we're going to go through. We're going to go through and we're going to get deep. We're going to break this thing down. But it's being confirmed that the NFL owners, they had a role in this. They said, take his name off those damn boards. The 2025 NFL draft was supposed to be Shedeur's coronation, according to this article from MSN, right? But there were whispers. There was a meeting before the meeting, and the meeting is the draft, right? There's a meeting before the meeting, and there's a meeting after. the meeting. And according to this article, talent ain't enough if your swagger smells like entitlement. Shedeur has walked around a bit entitled. I think Shedeur forgot that he was interviewing for a job. For a job. And when you walk in and you interview for a job, there is a level of expectancy for the posture that most people would expect that you would have. And just like that, they didn't like it. They didn't feel like he interviewed well. And I believe they retaliated. Are they retaliating against his talent? That's my question to you. Or are they retaliating against his attitude and his swag? Are they setting the expectation that should you come here, this is our house. You will abide by the rules, as opposed to Shadeur coming out to say, don't pick me if you're not ready to change the culture. I'm sorry, Shadeur, I think that was a huge mistake. See, we can't say everything that we feel in the moment. And Deion, I know you coach him up for the game on the field, but you also have to coach him up on how to carry himself and speak to the powers that be. Otherwise, they will make you pay for it. They will make you pay for it. But listen, watch this. It says the owners whisper network when ego meets Excel sheets. Let's get real. The NFL is a fraternity where billionaires play fantasy football with real humans. What did Shadeur do wrong? Maybe it was the combine interviews where his confidence curdled into arrogance, or maybe it was Deion Sanders' shadow looming. They going in on Deion. They don't like the fact that Deion has spoken out verbally to say he will influence his son. They don't like the fact I told you that Deion and Shedeur is a package deal. The owners don't want to deal with it. And as a result, you saw that in a fifth round draft pick. Now, here's one I cannot remember. Oh, it was Michael Strahan that says, listen, if you have such big opinions on this kid, then put a name on it. Michael Strahan, he said, I don't like the fact that all of this talk is going on behind the scenes. Come out like a man and put a name on it. I have to agree. If you're going to talk shit, come out and put a name on it. That's it. That's all. But it's being alleged, y'all, that as the picks, as the, by round 5, the Cleveland Browns finally called his name, right? We know that at number 144. But according to a source, an NFL owner said he torpedoed himself, his attitude off the field at the combine. His dad didn't help him. I don't want this entitled person on my team. An NFL owner spat at Boomer Esiason. Yeah, they've been talking. I'm going to play some tapes. I'm going to play some video, and I want to get y'all's reaction in real time and tell me what you think.
They took him off, and they took him off because the owner said, take him off. I don't want that guy. Deion Sanders just torpedoed himself. His attitude off the field at the combine, his dad didn't help him either. You know, he was on podcast talking about, this is my son. If I can get him to where I want to get him to, I'm going to do that. But, you know, when you listen to this kid talk right prior or at the combine about if you want a new culture in your locker room, I'm the guy to do that. I can turn it around. I mean, he's very high on himself. And I think he was very off-putting to many, many coaches and general managers.
Now, y'all keep in mind, this is not a white. I know people want to make it into a white or a black thing, but there's black coaches. There's black GMs that don't even want to fool with him, according to them, insiders, because of his attitude, because of his arrogance. At what point do we take responsibility? Listen, I get it. I know there is so many different arguments and different sides of arguments to this thing, but at what point should he be reeled in to say, you're not even there yet? Say less, do more. Talk that shit when you've made the team. Talk that shit on the field. Talk that shit by your output, your productivity. Say less. Let's continue. Let's continue.
In the league. And I'm telling you right now, and I know this after talking to 3 different personnel people in the NFL this weekend, they didn't even have him on their board. They took him off. And they took him off because the owner said, take him off.
Boom. That's it. That's all. Listen, y'all better stop talking about what's fair and figure out how to beat the game and what the cheat code is. It's just like video games, right? Every time there's a new level, the ante is upped. And I get all of the stuff that we're talking about as a Black community, but guess what? Talking is not going to change anything. If you're going to stay, you better play the game. They didn't like the fact that Shedeur Sanders came in and he said, "Don't pick me."
If you ain't trying to change the franchise or the culture, don't give me. So you should know history repeats itself over and over and over. And I've done it over and over and over. So it should be no question why an NFL franchise should pick me. You think I'm worried about what critics say or what people got to say? You know who my dad is?
Now that is what messed you up. That's what fucked you up right then. Do you know who my dad? I get it. Y'all going to compare. I'm talking about the expectation from us, but let's continue.
They hated on him too. So it's like it's almost normal. Without people hating, it's not normal for us. So we like diversity. We like everything that comes with the name. That's why we are who we are. If you ain't
I don't know, y'all. It's feeling arrogant. It's feeling a bit of arrogance. I want him to talk about why he would how he could change the culture. My thing is, if you're going to talk about it, give some hardcore examples. Let me ask you this: what is it that you plan on doing to change things in the NFL? Because he said it, I didn't. I'm just asking. I like to just kind of facilitate a different kind of dialogue over here. Number one. Number two, is he as good as he thinks he is? I'm not saying he is or he ain't. That's my question to y'all. And my second question is he as good as his father? I can understand the NFL just not wanting to deal with. Not Shadeur, y'all. It's bigger than Shadeur. It's everything that comes with Shadeur. Look at this clip.
I said, I swear, I bet, I see it, I swear, that bitch, that love, for real, it nuts, it moans, it is, the thing, under, it's low, it kills, I said.
All of that. Everything that comes with Shadeur. That's all I'm saying. They don't want to look. That's the other boy, Deion's. That's Bucky. Push the ball boy. Now, should the ball boy have attempted to grab the ball out of Shiloh's hand? No, he should not have. But do you see how Shiloh just picked it up and walked away? Right? But Shedeur and Bucky, on the other hand, have different responses, different reactions. Let's continue. I know some of y'all gonna eat me up, but let's continue.
A lot of this was about primetime Deion Sanders. You can say whatever you want to the audience out there, to these idiotic trolls all over social media talking about, Shedeur Sanders wasn't that great or whatever. There is no one. I repeat, no.
Let me ask you, outside of the Nike deals, outside of the Beats by Dre deals, outside of all of the lucrative sponsorship endorsements, is he good enough as a first string quarterback? In all honesty, in the NFL, we're not talking about college level. Do you really feel like he's a first string quarterback to go up against some of the best in the league and make shit happen for a National Football League team? Give me your honest opinion.
No one that looked at Shedeur Sanders and even had him less than the third best quarterback in the draft. This is a quarterback driven league. This guy was considered one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the draft.
Based on what? Stats? Sponsorship, endorsements? That's what I'm asking. Because a lot of people feel like that he got that notoriety because of his endorsement deals. If the endorsement deals were not there, this is an honest question, would you feel the same way about his productivity and his performance on the field?
And 143 picks came and went before you heard his name. Don't talk to me about football. I don't want to hear a damn thing about football. This ain't about football. A lot of...
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to play with y'all on this. 143 picks came before him because he was talking that shit to billionaires. Right, wrong, or indifferent. I don't care how good you are. I don't care how consistent you are. When you start talking that shit to a billionaire, I can show you better than I can tell you. Let's take football off the table. Let's take football off the table. We can apply it to any other um, profession, any other area in life, somebody talks that shit to you and tell you what they're going to come in and do in your house, are you picking them? If somebody comes in and say, I'm going to disrupt all of this. And when I say disrupt, that's not a negative word, y'all. That means I'm going to change the culture. I'm going to come in, I'm going to make a splash. We're going to do things different. Don't pick me if you're not ready for a change. You going to let a 23-year-old talk that shit to you and you're a billionaire? And I'm just saying, that's where Shedeur messed up. And that's why he was 144. Shedeur was talking shit to grown ass men that have been around for a long time. Okay. I know a lot of you say, nah, it's buck breaking and they wanted to humble him. I would humble you too. I would humble you too if you did not come the right way through my front door. That's all I'm saying. So let's not act like some of you wouldn't feel some kind of way if a 20-something-year-old talked about disrupting your organization and what they're going to do and what you better not do. And here are my expectations. Child, please. Literally, child, please. Hold on.
When we saw your guys' reaction in the war room, it just didn't look necessarily exuberant.
I think we're probably just tired from the weekend.
Those clips, it's not timed up to exactly the right
When
time.
we're actually
So I
making
wouldn't
the pick.
don't read too much into that.
Oh, definitely read too much into it. He said don't read, and I'm not calling him a bad guy, right? We're talking Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski. They were asked about their reactions, right? They caught them on tape. Now, I'm going to have to call BS on this. Their reactions in the draft room shortly after selecting Shedeur Sanders. What you see is what you see. Don't let nobody tell you. That's why I say, it's just hard for me to pick a side because everybody makes really good points. Don't let anybody tell you you did not see what you saw. They're not invested. This was a power play. This was listen, just go out there. We're going to pick the guy. We're going to announce him. And in the end, y'all, based on their looks, I don't think there's a strong investment in Shedeur Sanders. I don't. I think there's a plan. There's a meeting after the meeting. I don't think he's going to make it. I think this is one of those examples where you go along to get along and you have no intentions of allowing somebody to stay. I'm going to play it again.
When we saw your guys' reaction in the war room, it just didn't look necessarily exuberant.
I think we're probably just tired from the weekend.
Those clips, it's not timed up to exactly the right
When
time.
we're actually
So I
making
wouldn't
the pick.
don't read too much into that.
I don't know. I don't think this is going to fare out well for Shedeur. I hope it does. I hope he's allowed to prove himself. But unfortunately, his mouth, his behavior, what do y'all call it? His vibe, his swag may have overshadowed any opportunities for him to receive an equal and fair chance of performing in the NFL. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Sometimes that's just the way it goes.
I believe Shedeur Sanders, people don't want the thought of having to deal with him because that's dealing with his dad. In other words, your dad's going to be in your ear. Your dad's going to talk to you. Your dad is one of the greatest athletes who have ever lived and is obviously highly accomplished and knows football inside and out. So as a result, him listening to him, he's going to ask questions. He's not going to just take instructions, just because you say so.
And that's a problem. That's a problem. And not because he shouldn't. But nobody wants to be challenged in their own house. Right, wrong, or indifferent. That's going to be a problem. You make a really good point, Stephen A. Smith, but the fact that you said you're not going to be able to tell him something and he expect him to do it. Well, you know what? Then he can't play here. Because I asked you guys, I said, is he coachable? I said, is he coachable? I asked you that a while back. I said, I don't think he is. And this is not me. I'm looking at it like the NFL owners, GMs are looking at it. No, he's not coachable. Not only that, he's going to push back. He's going to have his father in his ear. And I don't want to deal with that. That's what I mean by is he coachable? Y'all, he's not. He's not coachable. He's not open. He's coming there. He said the shake, rattle, and roll. Don't pick me. Don't recruit me if you're not ready for a change. I'm coming up in this mofo. I'm going to change some stuff. They're not going to let that happen.
You know, he's going to question. He's going to challenge your football intellect. And
He's going to question. He's going to challenge your football intellect. That's not what you're here for. You're not here to coach us. We're here to coach you. So you see what I'm saying? Just like we allow Deion to coach, NFL coaches, head coaches want to coach too. I'm just bringing you a different perspective of why 5th round, 143 went before him. You're not the coach. We are. And sometimes you do have to step down in order to stand up.
obviously they'll know where that comes from. I think that's what this is about. They just can't admit it.
Bring up the quote. The worst formal interview I've ever been in my life. He's so entitled. Horrible. The worst formal interview I've ever. Is it really? Is it? Or are you just going for a headline? Or maybe the vibe that you set in the room was critical and Shedeur picked up on that. And maybe he was right because the first second you could, you betrayed the sanctity of that room and went anonymously and started spouting off about this player.
Excellent points. And this is why Deion Sanders is headlines. How much of it is true? The reason why I say less, Shedeur, moving forward, because there's nothing you can do right. There's nothing you can do right. Silence cannot be misquoted. Say less. Say less. And if you even look, if you pay attention, by the time we got through the 3rd round draft pick, the 4th round, and the 5th, even Deion had piped down because wisdom kicks in at some point. Wisdom kicks in at some point, and you realize, I get it. This is chess and not checkers. Shedeur, you're going to have to play chess. Unfortunately, I don't think he'll be able to do so. Not because he's a bad kid. He just doesn't have the wisdom. He doesn't have the experience. He and his father are not big enough to go up against the powers that be. It reminds me of a pack of coyotes. They will wear you out. They will tire you out. And then at the end, they will devour you. Which is why we saw and we're hearing that there were meetings and whispers, take his name off the board. I don't want to fool with him. I don't want to coach him. He's not coachable. His father is going to be in his ear. He's going to push back. He's going to challenge. I ain't got time for it. And not only that, I'm only willing to invest $4.6 million into him. This is not good, y'all.
Does the president think he deserves credit for Sanders getting picked? And does he think going to the Browns is better than being undrafted?
Hey, I'm gonna. All I will say is the president put out a statement, and a few rounds later he was drafted. So I think the facts speak for themselves on that one, Peter. We'll go to the back row in the middle, to the blonde. Yeah.
Wow. Listen. He put out a statement, and he was picked. This is way bigger than what we think. Let me tell you why. They're not even giving him credit, the credit that y'all are giving him. They're not saying that Shedeur got there on his own accord. What they're saying is that somebody called in a favor. Donald Trump called in a favor, okay? And they're taking credit for Shedeur Sanders getting drafted. This is not good. Shedeur is not going to receive a equal and fair opportunity in the NFL. I hate it for him. I don't know. What are your thoughts?